portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
When Bishop Neil Ellis addressed the inaugural meeting of the 8-month-old Global United Fellowship, which he heads, Prime Minister Perry Christie and members of his cabinet were among attendees.
The conference in North Carolina united delegates who are a part of a network of hundreds of churches. Our Clint Watson was there as the Prime Minister endorsed Bishop Ellis as a sound leader.
His story has the spotlight of the world on the Bahamas. Less than a year ago, Bishop Neil C. Ellis faced what many described as an adversarial period. But out of that transitional period from the full gospel movement began a world movement stretching beyond continents to establish the Global United Fellowship, a network that now expands 400 churches and spanning scores of denominations. The inaugural conference in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, tells the story of a boy from humble beginnings and Bimini's ability to endure tough times to achieve the inconceivable. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie says it's for that alone the Bahamas stands with him and dictated his presence as the country's leader.
And so, Bishop, I've come with my colleagues this evening to authenticate that there is another Bahamian who God imbued with a vision and the spirit that if you're knocked down, you get back up.
The success and popularity of Bishop Ellis in the global religious arena continues to mushroom. During Thursday night service, he was practically given the opportunity for his network to become owners of 3 Christian television stations. An offer Bishop Ellis didn't waste time on getting his executive council to approve, as he called them to the stage to ratify the transaction and have the world witness the historic moment. In his sermon, he encouraged delegates to not allow difficult times to change their course.
The set time has come. Look at the first 3 words in the text. The set time. Now, anything that is set, it is predetermined. Which means then, God has predetermined a time where he will favor God's people.
And of course, the big question is, with such a successful conference in Winston-Salem, when can we see the gathering in the Bahamas? Well, mum's the word for now, but we're told next year's conference will be a little closer to home in Jacksonville, Florida. But for now, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Tourism Minister Obi Wilshcombe also witnessing the Bahamas taking a leading role in uniting the global church. He says this is a major deal for the Bahamas.
Thousands. We understand every night so far they've had an average of 5,800 people here. Bahamians are supporting him, but the world is supporting him. And he has a message that he's taken around the world, and I think that that's important for us, knowing that, again, another Bahamian has risen to the highest level. As a country and religious tourism that each market is playing off, we're seeing tremendous growth in our country.
Now, as tourism officials seek to increase their edge on the competition, they're increasingly focusing on religious, sports, and most recently, medical tourism. The tourism minister says he's already seeing results from all of them.
The leading right now is sports tourism, doing very well. We have a sports unit that's incredibly gifted with ideas, and they're very aggressive. Dwight and Bristol leading our religious tourism division, again, bringing so much to the table, and he's reached out and touched so many organizations. And we're seeing a growth. We're seeing a number of new churches involving themselves in the Bahamas. New events are being planned for the Bahamas from now. It started several months ago. It's going to continue throughout the rest of the year. Some very big events coming to the Bahamas, and it's going to continue. Medical tourism, in fact, in the Bahamas, next week there's a major conference with, believe it or not, Haitian doctors coming from all around the world, more than 300 of them. So all the niche markets are paying dividends. Our job is to be consistent, to be persistent, and to put out front an aggressive team of persons who have one interest, and that is country.
In other news, the main post office will be relocated to the Independent Shopping Plaza following concerns over the safety of staff due to mold and crumbling infrastructure at the East Hill Street location. However, Permanent Secretary Lorraine Ambrister was unable to give a specific date for the move. Meantime, staff stationed at the main post office building remain on reduced shifts.
So those discussions are underway with a particular entity who we've narrowed in on, and we expect that that will be concluded in short order. But in the interim, there have been some issues at the post office building which we have addressed with respect to mold amelioration and with respect to shoring up some weak areas where we had falling concrete, etc., and staff were also relocated.
In other news tonight, it's been an uphill battle climbing out of economic recession worldwide. The Bahamas was not spared from the fallout. CEO of the Bahamas business community, Edison Sumner, says that while some businesses are reporting struggling continues, many of them say they're now out of the red. Energy costs, however, remain the #1 challenge.
A lot of businesses will say, yes, they're beginning to see some rebound in the economy. Some business persons are beginning to see some recovery with their businesses. But we also still have quite a number of business persons who are struggling, who are having a difficult time making ends meet in their businesses. And it's for any number of reasons, right? We're still having a challenge with the cost of energy in the country, right? The cost of electricity is still too high. There seems to be no immediate, advances in place currently that we can see to correct that. The Chamber has a very big concern about the cost of energy, looking at alternative forms of energy in the country, to the extent that we have an entire division of the Chamber that is dedicated and committed to looking at energy reform in the country.
Well, coming up in sports, the ZNS Challenge. See how your favorite team performed in flag football. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.